Good morning, good morning, good morning, and happy Wednesday here on the National Soccer Network. Inside the game, John Turner alongside Mr. Nathan Wangler. It is a beautiful day here in the great state of Michigan, and hopefully around the country, around the world, mind you. We'll quick scheduling update. Mr. Dean Linke unfortunately could not make it here this morning. He has lost his voice. I don't know how you per se lose your voice. I mean, it's usually right there, and then maybe it goes to sleep maybe, but I don't know if you lose it because then you'd have to find it. Where did it go? I don't know. Um, but he has lost his voice on this Wednesday morning.
He's chasing after his voice. It ran away from him. No, I've been there before, and if I know anything about what it takes to talk all the time, kind of like where Dean Linke is in his career, I can relate to that as well. It is a tough thing to dance around. What's up, Peter? Good morning. It's a tough thing to dance around because it happens quickly. Jimmy, yo, what's good? Peter, not a good morning in Muskegon. Yeah, I think JT might have been a little disingenuous with that beautiful morning in Michigan stuff,
It is
but
a beautiful Beaut beautiful. Isn't that
I mean, it can look so, but not be so. But no, Dean, I relate to that experience quite a bit, and you do everything that you can to make sure that that doesn't happen. You know, honey, cough drops, the whole bit. But trust me, when you do it enough, it's gonna go at some point. So we'll definitely get him back on and chat with him a little bit because I know that he's been working with you on and off. And truth is I don't even think people really notice that listen or watch the show or maybe even consume some of our stuff on YouTube. Like we got a decent lineup of broadcasters that come in and out and do games for us. You know, it's interesting when you kind of step back and think about it. You know, you have Neil Rule, who obviously has been at Oakland doing men's basketball for forever, but now we step in and he's doing Piston stuff. So he's doing stuff with them, and obviously working at Woodward and everything. But you think about Dean Linke and the Big Ten prowess and all the stuff he's done at the Division I level. He's helping us out too. So we got a pretty strong lineup of commentators, those two in particular. But if we got to let Dean rest his voice, say all let's do it because that's the moneymaker. So we don't want to mess with that at all. But we'll definitely get him back on here at some point.
Well, we will. We'll definitely get him back on. And we appreciate everybody for stopping by here on this hump day. Again, he's not going to make it here today, but we will find something to talk about here nonetheless. So recently we've across America and really around the world, there have been a lot of these airline mishaps. Right, airline mishaps. One just recently happened here a couple of days ago. A Delta airline plane here in, I think, Toronto is and I'll tell you, I'm going to put this on the screen. This is there's a number of different views coming in. There's one where somebody's actually literally on like the I think like a tarmac, and they have a photo of this. And there's a reason why I want to talk about this for a couple moments this morning, and obviously it has nothing to do with soccer, but it does have everything to do with what I have to do here in a few weeks. So I'm going to share this first. Let's pop on the screen here. The reason I'm even going to show this is because people got hurt, but nobody actually lost their life, which is obviously important. But just take a look at this. I mean, well, okay, don't know what happened there. Hang on. So this is like the aftermath of that. I mean, the plane ended up flipping over upside down. I mean, it was, I mean, just unbelievable sight. And again, you see it there, kind of just skirting across and then flipping over. It's a pretty amazing thing to see, and even more importantly, how nobody got hurt. I mean, nobody got killed. I mean, this is the type of environment where you're like, oh my gosh. I mean, planes are not meant to. They're not meant to be like these things that, like, when they hit something, they are supposed to stay intact. Planes are meant to fly, and they use lightweight metal, and they do that on purpose so that they get much aerodynamics. And again, I'm not an engineer, so I don't pretend to be one, but planes are not meant to bounce off the ground and stay in one piece. This one pretty much did that. You know what I mean? Like that, it pretty much bounced and stayed intact. It lost a wing, but the rest of the plane pretty much stayed intact. The reason why I bring this up, Nathan, first off, what are your thoughts on this as somebody? Do you like to fly, by the way, or are you a flyer?
No, I hate flying. I hate flying every time I have to do it. I hate being in the plane. I hate any flight that's longer than 3 hours, because then that means that's 3 full hours of me looking out the window and waiting for, I don't know, something to fly in the propeller, or maybe one of the super advanced things that not even the pilots understand is going on happens, and then we're nose diving out of the sky. No, I hate flying. I can stomach flying, though. Yeah, I can get through it. And no big deal. I went to Washington earlier. I actually, I was watching a response from a pilot, a long time pilot. I think he's been a pilot for 15 years. Said, well, first of all, because they're lucky that it was snowing out. That's the biggest thing. The biggest thing that you worry about with impacts isn't necessarily the plane falling apart or the impact. It's the fire. I mean, you have like hundreds of gallons, thousands of gallons of fuel on board. So when you hit the ground and you see that, the biggest thing is the plane exploding, right? So the fact that it's snowing out and that, it's wet all over the ground, that was enough to at least put enough of the flames out when they hit the ground to give themselves a chance to get out of the plane without getting hurt. So that's just luck, I guess, on that side. The other thing is, like, again, I'm not a pilot, but I'm just, again, what he said. You're not supposed to demolish the ground when you land. You're supposed to kiss it, right? You're supposed to just kiss and just ride it out. So there's also been a lot of speculation about maybe the pilots themselves just not having the right training or the right expertise to be able to land this plane properly. But you don't really get to that stage without going through a lot of training. You don't just fly jets, right? That's not where you start. Like that's down the line once you've earned, all of your other steps along the way. In terms of the logistics of the plane crash, I don't have anything to add because I'm not a pilot. I'm not an experienced, trained, airline professional. But when you start stringing these all together, this crash, plus the one, was it in Minnesota that just happened, and then you add in the one over DC where you have the Black Hawk helicopter running into the airliner. When you start to add them up one by one, you start kind of looking at this from an overall perspective. And I know we want to stay away from politics on this show, and I don't plan on doing that anytime soon, but you start wondering, what is happening inside of the federal aviation community that's causing this? Because clearly there's something that is missing. Either the right people aren't in the right places, or, people are taking shortcuts, or some people have maybe been let go of their jobs that didn't deserve to be let go of their jobs, and now we're doing this thing shorthanded. I'm not exactly certain. I mean, there's different theories that are going around out there, but it is super concerning, and I would say super concerning specifically for those people who have an issue flying, because how long did we go without a major aviation accident in the United States? And now we have them all consecutively in the last month or two. I don't know. Sometimes certain things, when, once is random, twice is a coincidence. When that happens 3-4 times, okay, we got a trend now. And I'm not really sure what that trend is or what that signifies. And it's one thing if it's, there was a story of recently a Learjet crashed into a parked jet. Okay, like this is being unorganized. And nothing. This is the thing about the aviation industry. Everything has to run perfectly. Everything has to run perfectly. Everything has to run the way that it should, because at any given point, at multiple different depths of, there's a reason why they call these air highways, because there's multiple different planes in the sky at all times. There's one on your rear. There's one in front of you. It means air traffic control has to be on top of what they're doing 24/7. Everything has to go right in order for there not to be a disaster. There have been some cracks in the foundation. Cause that? I'm not sure, but it's definitely concerning.
Yeah, I again, I don't know either. There's obviously probably many reasons as to why that is. Timing could be just, just perfect, right? To go back to first off, I don't hate flying. I just don't like it. And that's mainly because I'm not the one driving, right? My wife might say that that's maybe more of a control thing for me. I don't consider it a control thing.
Mhm.
I consider it more of the fact that I just like to be in that. I like to be in control of my outcome. Is if that makes any sense. Maybe that's not necessarily controlling, but I just want to be the one who's in that driver's seat, being able to maybe um, guide the vehicle where I want it to go. That would be, I think, my biggest hang up about it. And again, at the same time, too, you really can't see what's in front of you, right? So, maybe that's a good thing and a bad thing, especially if you're talking about things that are happening in these situations, right? Um, but the thing that I wanted us to get into this morning is yesterday we talked about whether or not you deserve it, right? Do you deserve it? And we said, no, you don't. You don't deserve anything. And I want to talk about how many kids play soccer in America, right? And this is a recent number. This is based off of 2003 to 2020, 2003, 2023 to 2024. So I don't know what's changed, from 24 till now. 3 million kids play soccer across America, right? 3 million. Now that's not counting. I don't. I think it goes to 18. Um, So, but because obviously you have people who are adults who are over the age of 18 that are playing, and that's probably another couple million, right? Maybe a million. I don't know. I mean, with all the teams that they're out there playing, I would imagine that's a pretty significant number. But 3 million kids play soccer in this country. 3 million. That means that all across America, 3 million little kids, upwards of up into high school, are playing soccer at some shape, or form across this country. And when we start talking about, like we talked about on Monday, about roster sizes at colleges and how the number is now 28, right? And I think we determined that there's somewhere in the neighborhood of close to 200 to 400. I don't know the exact number of how many colleges there are with Division One in this country for women's sports, women's soccer. I think it's a couple hundred, maybe it's 300. I don't know the exact number, but it's let's just say it's a couple hundred. Well, 28 times 200. Yeah, I don't have a calculator, but what's that look like? Let's just round up to 30 times 200. What's that? 6,000,
Mhm.
give or take,
Around there.
right? I mean, I don't know how many. I mean, again, I'm gonna try and Google this. How many college soccer teams in America? And I don't know if that's even it's 1,400 college men's soccer teams in the United States. So 1,400 in men's. Now, women would probably be double just because, which is great, right? We talk about Title IX, then maybe that's a thing. 30. 30 is a roster size, 28, right? So what is 1,400 times 28? We'll go men's side for a second.
39,200.
39,200. So at any given time, there are 39,200 men college soccer players. And again, I think for argument's sake, we should just double that and say it's 80,000 for women, just because, again, I think that this probably, maybe it's close to double. I know that it's double in Division One, so I would assume it kind of maybe follows that same formula down the way. 39,000. So 3 million kids are playing soccer each year, according to U.S. Soccer, right? I don't know what that percentage is, right? We'll go with the percentages. I think it's 850,000 high schoolers played soccer in 2003 to 2024. 850,000. So if we just did
About
percentages,
9%.
so 25% of 850,000 is what? what is that, like 200 and like 212,000?
Yeah,
I
212.
would think that's probably seniors, right? You're 212. We'll just whatever, right? Just split up in 25%. So that would be the eligible kids who would be going from high school to college, right? That'd be that bucket, of kids. That doesn't count the club players who don't play high school, right? That is so. But every year at any given time, there's 39,000 plus male soccer players playing at a college level. If we follow the same kind of math, 25% of those 39,000 are going to be incoming freshmen, right? What is that? Close to 10,000? So
Just
10,000
about.
male athletes out of 210,000 graduating seniors playing. What's that number? Do you know what it is? Do you know what 210,000, the percentage of the 10,000 to the 210, what that looks like as far as a percentage?
Sorry, using my phone calculator over here.
No worries, no worries. We're doing math in real time. This is great.
It's about 4.7%.
Okay, so 4.7% of the eligible seniors in this country have a chance of making a college roster. Right?
Yep.
4%.
6% overall, regardless of any sport, will play NCAA.
And we're not talking girls soccer. Girls soccer is going to be more than that. I think there's probably double in women's soccer. I don't know the exact. I'm going to Google that too. Google, again, this is based off Google. So if we're, how many women's, and according to this, there are 1,500 that offer. So 1,500. So it's not double. It's 1,500. 100 more teams. So in Division I, maybe it's the more, maybe double. But as you start getting, it maybe starts to balance itself out. 1,500. So that the same math would apply, right? So we're basically the same math. So the reason we bring this up, 3 million kids play soccer a year in this country. 850,000 play at a collegiate, at a high school level. We determined that 49,000 are playing college in a given year, right? I'm not even sure what 49,000 is less. Actually, it's 49,000, 40,000 plus. Then we should do the same numbers for women. So whatever 28 times 1,500 is, which is probably give or take another couple thousand. So it's around 80,000 kids playing college soccer, give or take, both men and women in this country every year. 80,000 out of 3 million. What's that percentage? Let's look at that number. I'm curious. I think the math here is really important. I hope moms and dads are watching this. I really do. I hope you're watching this. I really, really do. So
2.6%.
Okay, so 3 million kids play soccer every year. 850,000 are high school. We determined that about 80,000 play college. 39,000 for men. Probably more like 41,000 for women. Right? Just whatever. Right? So men, women. Okay. And is it how much? 2.6%? Okay. So 2.6% of anyone who's playing soccer currently in the United States will play college soccer. That's the percentage. Now, granted, my cap on my pen just like locked in here, dude, and I can't get it out. Dude, this is annoying, man. It's annoying. Sorry. I digress.
Tell me you don't have a pile of utensils back behind you. You got 2 cups.
It's a Sharpie though. You don't want it to go dry. All right. So your moms and dads, it's 2.6%. It's 2.6%. The chances of your child, if they are a senior this year in high school, again, if we do the math in seniors, okay, take not the full number here, because again, it is not the full number. If we take for both men and women, 39,000 right? And take 39,000 into 210. I think you said it's like what, 6%?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right around there.
Okay. Do that same thing and add the entire number of 80,000 in there. And then we'll just split it up. So 210 divided by 80,000. What's that percentage? Or however you come up with percentages. I'm not a mathematician, so I don't know. What you do the 80 first and then the 210 or 210 divided by 80. I don't know.
3.8.
So 3.8%. That is the likelihood of your child going to play collegiate soccer in this country. I would imagine on some level, football is probably a little higher. Other sport might be a little higher just based on roster sizes,
Mm-hmm.
But 3.8% chance. Now, I don't know what, I would say, let's just Google some percentages, like some unlikely percentages, like what winning the lottery. Like, what is winning the lottery? What's that is? Winning the lottery percent. Right? Oops. I hate when that happens. Winning the lottery percentages, right? What does that look like? What do you think that is? What do you think the percentages are there, Nathan? Did you freeze up on me?
No, I'm thinking. I mean, it's one in multiple millions. But it has to be a fraction of a percentage.
Yeah, it's 1 in 300 million. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Chances of being hit by lightning. Right? What's that? I think they actually say getting hit by lightning is actually more probable than winning the lottery, I think. It's 1 in 15,300.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow, that's actually pretty legit. That's actually kind of scary.
That's wild.
So the 2.6%, right? That's so basically 2 in 100 are going to go, right, every year based on the 3 million, right? 2 in 100.
Right.
Let's see here. So 2 in 100, right? And it's basically 4 in 100 if you're talking about it. If you currently play high school soccer, and you're gonna be an incoming freshman, right?
Mm-hmm.
1 in 15,300. To be fair, I would actually, we did figure this out. It might be more likely you get hit by lightning than actually make it to a soccer team. Because 1 in 15,300, that, yeah, I don't know how, so if there's 80,000 kids playing college soccer every year, I think we determined that's.
I don't think it's quite the same, but it's not too far off. If I'm being completely honest with you.
Well, I don't know.
Now, if we want to talk about full ride scholarships, that might be.
I'm just talking about playing. I think if the whole full ride thing, completely different. I'm just talking, and right now we know that full rides are available for every roster spot, so that number is going to change anyways. Right? You could offer full ride or scholarships to every player. You couldn't do that before, right? So we look at that aspect of this. It's different, but again, I don't know. Again, there's 80,000 kids playing. You have to take the 80,000 into the 3 million. And then I don't know how you can figure out like the probabilities of the 1 in 15,300.
Mm-hmm.
But, we said 2 in 100, right? 2 in 100. So if your club has 3,000 kids in it, 3,000 kids, what's that look like? What's that look like, mom and dad, if your kid's playing for club so-and-so out of Missouri? Right? We're saying 2 in 100 are going to go play college soccer. That's what we're saying right now, based on the 3 million. 2 in 100. So how many times does 100 go into 1,000? Goes into it 10 times. So that means that you've got 20 kids per 1,000. That means 60 kids in your program are going to go play college soccer. between boys and girls.
Yeah.
So
It's not given. And that's it. The hardest thing, the reason why parents attack it, I think, with so much ferocity, and this is just my personal opinion, is because I think it helps both parties, right? You want your kid to play the sport at the highest level. You want them to have opportunities. But the biggest thing now, especially when you talk about opening up, especially full ride scholarships, to now you have the potential as these colleges and universities to offer out more of these outside of that, again, that budgeted 9.9 that we saw for all those years. Now the NCAA is kind of opening it up. The hardest thing is that these parents really kind of see it as twofold. And the kids really want to play at the highest level. But if they're able to get there and get a full ride, or let's just even say a partial ride, right? Like they get X amount of money to go play wherever else. I think they're feeling the pressure of, in a lot of ways, if their kid not only is happy but gets those opportunities, it's also going to cut a lot of the financial burden off of their shoulders as well. And so I think there's that added stress, especially now, when we talk about tuition rates and how literally it's exponential in terms of the increase. And especially you have a lot of these programs who just, unfortunately, they push the bill on the student. They'll add a brand new facility, or they'll add a brand new this or brand new that, or make their campus more shiny. But in the process, they're going to push that cost onto you. And so the toughest thing for me is, we're seeing roster sizes increase, but I also think we're seeing numbers decrease for certain teams at certain schools, simply because, these players, a lot of them can't afford the pay for play model. Now, I'm not saying all of them, but that creates this sense of urgency for, we got to be good enough to get to that next level and play and contribute at that next level. But the hardest thing is, when you get on high school coach, you can get on high school coaches about playing time and all that stuff all you want. Who you're not going to get on and convince to bring your kid along is a college scout. They don't care. Okay. They're there to find the best available options. They're there to find who's going to help them go on and win games, who affects the bottom lines. I mean, people's jobs are at stake here. Coaches' jobs, recruiters' jobs, people within these college programs, right? And so when their job is quite literally defined on whether, wins or losses or how they do in that category. Now, how they get along with everybody else, that's one thing. And maybe there are certain programs that hold on to coaches for longer simply because they're easy to deal with. But the end of the line, the bottom line is winning games. And so if your child is not going to put this program in a position to go out and win soccer games, he's not going to get picked up. And so, you're talking about the tough love the other day and the willingness to tell kids straight up that they're not good enough. I've gotten that talk before too in the sports that I've played. And luckily I realized early on, especially with the type of sports that I was playing, that I just was not really cut out for it. I think as being a 5'9" guy, the only real way I had out athletically was if I was like some super athletic guard who could shoot from anywhere on the floor, like basketball wise. Outside of that, I don't know if, or, maybe a running back, but I never had the quickness or the speed or anything like that. So to me, I kind of had an early realization that it wasn't going to happen. But, to those that we're talking about, the ones in question, it's hard because you might be good on the level that you're at. But when you put it into perspective, the percentages, it gives you an idea of just how much further along that next level is, right? And the biggest leap is from college to pro. That's the biggest leap. Doesn't matter what level you're at. The second biggest leap, though, is high school to college. And again, as someone who, and us as broadcasters, we have a unique position because we get to see that maturing throughout the course of those 4 years. And it's entertaining and humbling and everything else along those lines to see some of these players come in. And they may have dominated at the school that they were at. They may have been really, really good. And, there might have been conversations. Well, why are we not getting bigger looks? Why are we not getting an email or a call from this place or that place? And then they get to college. Even at the NAI level, you see this too. They go out there and play their first game and they're like, whoa. They're like, this moves a lot quicker than what I thought I was dealing with in high school. And so that's why when I always circle back to the whole perspective piece of it, that's the thing that I don't know. Parents who go out of their way to berate coaches or make statements like my son deserves this or deserves that. Sometimes I look at a lot of them and I'm like, I don't even know if you went through the process of playing college athletics at one point. I didn't. Right. But I can always say that I have a unique perspective on what that life looks like because I'm always in the front seat. I'm always right there. I'm always around the athletes. So it's not like I have to play the sport to understand kind of what goes into making someone good or making someone fit in a certain program. But the hardest thing is that leap between levels, and to the ones that have been through the college experience, they have a better understanding. Eccentric, Splat Zone Legend.
Yeah, I know it's a really
Thank you
cool
for sharing
name.
MASL games.
I think it's a really cool name actually. Yeah, you're welcome. By the way, we actually thoroughly enjoy covering MASL games, and we're excited about that relationship with the MASL. But yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think what you're saying is spot on. But it's 2 in 100. It's 2 in 100. It's 2 in 100. And that number's not, to be fair, that number's only going to go down. And the reason that it's going to go down to more like a 1 in 100 or 1.5 in 100 is because colleges are going to end up probably losing their programs. The amount of players going and playing will continue to increase. So those numbers are going to change. You have a 2 in 100 chance. Look around your room. Look around your team. Who on your team, and maybe it's you, I don't know. Look in the mirror, I guess. Who's going to go play at the collegiate level?
Yeah.
It's 2 in 100. Yeah. And this is the problem that I have with club soccer, is that they're not having these conversations with their players and their parents. They're not having this conversation. They're giving these kids the hope that they can go play. And okay, why? Because what do you need? Yep. See, and again, not all clubs are guilty of that. I'm not saying that that's their focus. I think what they're trying to do is they're not going to close a door. We're not going to go tell a player that's never going to happen, right? We're not going to do that. We're going to give the player the resources, the tools, the support system all through our program. And if they want to go to college, damn it, they will figure it out. Right? And I just feel that we are, as a country, when it comes to club soccer specifically, we have a hard time with this conversation. 2 in 100. If you have a program that's got 3,000 kids, 60 kids a year are going to go play college soccer on average. Some might be more than that. Some might be less than that. On average, on the percentages, 60 kids a year in a club program that's got 3,000 kids. That's the number. And again, that's the current number. And again, we're basing things off of, okay, well, if there's if you took all the kids who are playing college soccer, roughly 80,000 kids, and they had and 25% of them were freshmen, there would be roughly 20,000 between both men and women that would have a spot possibly as a freshman on a roster somewhere in the United States of America. Granted, to be fair, if you're a college coach, you're not recruiting freshmen like you used to. You're going after the transfer portal. Well, you're going to find your juniors, your sophomores, your juniors, and your seniors, and your fifth years who have eligibility still. And you're going to go after them because they are going to have more of a meaningful impact on day one than they would if they were a freshman. So you're going to go after them. So to be fair, it's more like probably 10,000 of that 80,000 are probably coming freshmen, or 15,000. The chances of playing at that high level now have diminished because of the transfer portal.
Right.
It's 2 in 100. So I say this a lot. The average club team right now, to be fair, if you think about what it costs to play soccer in this country, okay? We'll just, again, you're going to need your calculator, okay? You need your calculator, okay? I have my pen here. I figured out how to get the cap off while we were talking. Got that done, okay? We're going to start with a simple fee just to be on the team. It's $1,500. $1,500. Okay, that just gets you in the door. Okay, uniforms. Let's tack on $300. Why not? Right, $300. Okay, so right now, before you ever play a game, before you ever travel to a practice, it's $1,800. Okay, you're going to go do 3 tournaments a year. Okay, so let's just add. And included in the $1,800 is like the fee to go to the tournament, like not the hotel, not the travel, but the fee to go to said tournament is already included in the $1,800. Okay, but it's not free to go to Orlando, Florida, right? So we're gonna use Orlando as an example. This is good. Okay, so the average hotel right now in Orlando, Florida, I'm going to Google this. We're doing this in real time, people. I think this is important. Orlando, Florida hotels. Okay. We'll go with the lower end, $85 a night. So $85 per night. Now, if you have a family of 5, like I do, you get screwed with this whole thing, man. You get screwed. You get screwed because it forces you to have to get a second room or you lie, right? You lie. You don't, you're dishonest about it. Like everybody's done that since the beginning of time. But there's some ways you can't get around that. But $85 a night for a family of 4, right? And okay, so typically you think about going to a tournament in Florida, you're going to arrive probably the day before, maybe that Friday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday tournament. Maybe you arrive Friday morning. So you'll fly out Friday, you'll stay Friday night, Saturday night, you leave Sunday. So you'll do 2 nights. So 85 times 2. Okay. Flights. I don't know what flights cost. Let's Google it. Flights to Orlando. Okay. Flights to Orlando. Let's take a look here. Good old fashioned Expedia. They're always good for this kind of stuff. Shout out to Expedia. If you want to advertise with us, that'd be great. We'll pick this Friday morning and we'll leave and come back on Sunday. So a nice little round tripper here. We'll come back. Okay. It's thinking. I like to do this. This is good. This is doing it in real time. We could have done this obviously beforehand, but Dino Linky decided to lose his voice. And so we're making stuff up on the fly, which is fantastic, by the way. So let's see here. So this is March 7th through March 9th. It's $171 a passenger round trip. This is flying on Spirit. So if you're Spirit Airlines, whatever, that's $171 times 2. We're just assuming for 1 second that one parent's going to go and not both and not all the rest of the family. So we're going to go 171 times 2. So 85 times 2, what is that? 170? And then 171 times 2. I don't know what that is off the top of my head, but it's probably, I don't know, 380. I don't know, what is that now? You tell me. You might know it better than I do. Anyways, I know 150 is 300. So it's 340, $342. That's what it is, right? 342 plus 170. Okay. Rental car. What does a rental car cost? You could probably get one for maybe $100 for the weekend. Small one, small compact car, $100. What do you think? Think it's fair? So $100 for that. If you're not going to eat there, you're going to be really hungry. So you're going to eat. Let's just assign $25 a meal. Times that by 3 times 3 days. So $75 a day times that by 3. What does that look like? So is that 75 times? So is that like 225?
Mm-hmm.
So 225. All right. So the math on this is I'm doing the math too. So we're looking at 170 plus 340 plus 225 plus 100. That's $835 for that one tournament. Okay, that's just for that one tournament. So we're now from for $1,800 now up to almost $3,000, right? $3,000. Again, it takes gas to get to and from training sessions. It takes, you're going to be traveling. It's travel, so you're traveling all across the state of Michigan or wherever you're from. So that's every game is going to cost you gas. So you're talking on the low end. You're talking for one FAR tournament and traveling all around about $4,000 a year, right?
Yeah.
And if your kid's playing club soccer every year, 4,000 times, let's just say 5 years, that's $20,000. Now, this does not include cleats, shin guards, Under Armour gear, the cold weather gear, all that doesn't include that, right? This is on the low end. If you play at the high end like ECNL, you're traveling to Texas, to Arizona, to California. Every trip is costing you thousands and thousands of dollars. It's costing you on average probably $30,000 to $40,000 a year if you're on an ECNL team. Right? 30 to 40 grand. Think about that. So the average parent is paying $4,000. The average club is paying $4,000. And then the above average, the one that is going to these tournaments all across the area. I mean, because like ECNL, like the Great Lakes or like the Ohio Valley, right? You're traveling to Columbus, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, like all in this area. I think Illinois is in there too. Indiana. That's all. It's 4 or 5 states, but those a hotel every weekend. And I want a low end. I mean, to be fair, that's really low. $85 for a hotel room. I'm sorry. That's like the Econo Lodge. Most of these teams aren't staying at the Econo Lodge. They're staying at a Holiday Inn, a Marriott. They're staying at a Hilton, DoubleTree, whatever. And it's $150 a night. I went the low end on purpose. So for $4,000 a year, I mean, me and you could think of really creative things to do with $4,000 a year, Nathan. Right?
I would love some. Yes.
Yeah, $4,000 a year. $4,000 a year is what it costs to play club soccer. If you play for 5 years, it's 20 grand over the course of 5 years. If you're an ECNL player, you're paying maybe 40 was too high. Maybe it's like $20,000 a year. 20 grand a year to play ECNL. $20,000 a year. You do that for 3 or 4 years, you're talking about paying 80 grand. That is a college education. So moms and dads are paying $80,000 to give their kid an opportunity to be in the mix to get a scholarship, which would pay for the college that they've already paid for in the college soccer that they've had their kid do. I mean, right?
Yes,
I mean, Oak University, the average tuition there is $15,000, something like that. So 15 times 4 years, if you go 5, it's going to be more than that. But 15 times 4, you're looking at $60,000. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? If I look at it from the standpoint of an investment, if I'm investing in my children, am I going to pay $20,000 a year to give them a better chance than the next kid? Right? Which puts them in a spot to get a Division I, Division II full ride scholarship. That then they would get free education as a result of me investing the $60,000 to $80,000 over a 4 or 5 year period. Is it worth the investment? That's the question.
I guess. But the 200 in, I also think there's this mentality around AAU, this idea that if you spend more to put your kid in the best leagues, to put your kid in the best training, and again, I'm using air quotes over here because we know how many gurus exist out there that, again, know what the bottom line is, which is making money. They have jobs too. Does spending more money to do these tournaments, to go to these places, and again, sometimes you don't have a choice, because when I was playing sports at a young age, I went to a middle school that was a part of a middle school league in Grand Rapids. All right, so everything we played was all in GR, and I think my parents were more than grateful that that was the case, because in a lot of ways for us too, it was great because it kind of bred these, like, these relationships and these rivalries, and we knew all the kids on all the other teams. And again, it was like the battle for Grand Rapids. Like, we really didn't go outside of GR unless, I can't remember. The only time I think I went outside of like this area was when I was playing Rocket football. We went up to Ferris State and played. But my question is there is no guarantee that simply because you pay this money that your kid has the ability to go play at the highest level. If he's undersized, if he's not really that fast, if he's not really that skilled, he may enjoy being around the kids that he's being around. But in my personal experience, again, this is anecdotal. This is not, I can't pull out a stat sheet and show you, this is empirically, this is, if you're this size or if you do this, you're going to go on to automatically play college sports. The ones that I knew growing up, we all wanted to play our respective sports as badly as the next. We all had dreams of going on to play at the highest level. The ones that I knew that went on to play at the college level were the ones that were really exceptional from the jump. They were bigger, they were faster, they were stronger, and it really didn't matter how much money. I mean, my dad could have dumped $1 million and said, here's John Jansen, go work with him for 3 years. I would, my best shot may have been an NAIA program because I wasn't born with the ability to play the sport that I wanted to play quite to the same level as other kids. And that's genetically. That has nothing to do with lessons or here's how you pass the ball better, or here's how you control the ball better. It was a genetic predisposition that these kids would have the ability to play a college sport in front of a lot of people like me, the entire team. I mean, I'm thinking about it in past tense, like entire teams I've been on, and I'm like, okay, 1, 2, 3 played college sports. And one of them wasn't even in the sport that's in question. So it was one out of the 70, 80 kids that we had on that team that went on to play. Oh, and by the way, not like as a star. And he was, by the way, he was far and away the most physically dominant kid when we talked about playing it on the level that I was on. He went to Davenport and played football. And Davenport's a D2. Like, yeah, they're in the GLIAC, but I mean, it's not like, it's not like he was getting a full ride. I can tell. And I feel like a lot of people can tell if the people around them or the kids around them, or if your kid, physically speaking, genetically speaking, has the foundation of someone you can cultivate and bring to that next level. My issue is this: simply because you spend more, maybe your kid's not very skilled or he's not very fast or anything. They say money can buy anything. It can't buy athletic gifts. It can't buy size. It can't buy speed. It can't buy IQ. It can't buy any of those things. And so you'll end up spending X amount of money to put your kid through all of this. And then what happens if they get to the end of the line, they realize that they can't really hang with the big kids, that they just want to do something else. And so now what are you're going to resent your kid on not wanting to play the sport anymore because of your investment? Well, that almost to me seems like it was more about you than it was about them in the first place. And maybe that's the whole issue that we keep coming back to. It's parents making it more about themselves than it is necessarily about the kid who's playing the sport. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I think a lot of parents want what's best for their kids. I think maybe a lot of us maybe have this warped idea of what that might be. And that might be what it comes down to too, right? I mean, I have my 3 kids and what I think are good for my kids are unique to our family and our circumstances. And the next person would probably have it, look at it a different way. Right. I mean, constantly we're being, my family, my family is very close. My extended family, we're all close and everyone feels the feels obliged to give, their opinion about how you do this, that, or the other when it comes to each other's kids, right? So there are all these opinions. So we all have that. And all of our viewpoints on how we should raise our children are different than that of everybody around us. So I don't want to like get into that aspect because I don't know motive. Motives can be a lot of different things. There are certainly a lot of kids out there when they are out there on that field shine and are worthy of that opportunity, right? And to be fair, there's probably a lot more athletes who probably have this talent that maybe their parents aren't in a place to be able to provide them with this opportunity, and therefore they don't quite get those chances maybe, right?
Which is
Or
messed
they
up.
go to another university or
Yeah.
they go someplace, on a lower level and they create their own pathway. Those are things that happen. They walk on maybe with their university and that's a real thing. It's 2 in 100. It's 2 in 100. And yes, you can throw money at a lot of things. You can throw money all over the place. And certainly that can give you more opportunity. I'm not going to deny that. I'm not going to deny it at all. Certainly. I mean, if you want your child to have specialized training 7 days a week, you can do it. If you want to build a soccer pitch in your backyard with, 14 different flavors like Baskin Robbins as far as like the kind of turf they can play on and learn, sure. Go ahead and do it. If you think your kid has what it takes, by all means, invest the money. I would also imagine that if you have the money to spend on this, you probably have the money just to send them to college anyways.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the other side of it. Yeah.
Right. So if you're going to spend $8,000 to $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a year on soccer for your child, you on top of all the other things that you've got going on in your life, I would imagine you have the money to pay for college anyways. So it's no longer just about college. It's about opportunity that turns into them getting the glorification that you're looking for, or that they're looking for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. So I'm never going to tell a parent that they shouldn't go play club soccer with their kids shouldn't play club soccer. I'm never going to tell a parent that they shouldn't do that because why? If they did that, then we wouldn't even have jobs anymore because club soccer is what we're going after. And we respect what clubs do across this country. I don't want that to be mistaken or forgotten. But it's 2 in 100. It's 2 in 100. And that number is surely going to go down. It is surely going to go down. It is not going to go up. It's 2 in 100. The likelihood of your son or daughter going on and playing at a collegiate level in this country. 2 in 100. That's the number. So if your kid is 10 years old today and they're playing soccer, if you're a girl, this is even more important. If you're a girl, if you're not by 13 on a pathway on a high level team, you're behind the 8 ball. 13, right? 13. Chloe Ricketts, who's part of the NWSL, she got picked up at 14 in 7 months, something like that, the youngest ever. So put that in perspective, moms and dads. So it's 13. So your child's be playing at a high level, the highest level that's available to them at 13. Now, are there anomalies to that? Of course there are. But it's 13. If you're a boy, it's probably more like 14. So maybe a year later. You're playing at the highest level. What is the highest level for boys? It's MLS Next right now. ECNL is in that conversation, but MLS Next is the academy. That is it. Now, there's other things coming up the pipe like USL Academy and USL Youth and all these other. But if you're talking about the highest level for boys right now in this country, it's MLS Next. Girls, you can argue that Girls Academy and ECNL, but based on everything I know, ECNL is here and Girls Academy is below that. Okay? So, but those are the, if you're not playing on those two levels, by the time that you're 13 or 14 on either side of the equation, you're behind the 8 ball. Behind the 8 ball. Right? And so, and then it becomes, okay, all these showcases, all these national selection games where you have players playing in these games, and it's like, oh, these are the next stars of youth soccer. Lily Jekyll, Lydia Jekyll here, local product. She's 15 years old. She goes to, I think, Lake Orion High School, out in Lake Orion, she lives there. Plays for Detroit City FC, plays for the Nationals. She is a highly coveted, highly regarded player in this country. Top Drawer has recognized her as a top talent, all the above. She's 15 years old. That girl will probably go to any college she wants to. We had Olivia Thomas, who went to Grosse Pointe South. She plays for North Carolina, scored the game-winning goal to win the Women's College Cup here, right? Or part of that game-winning goal, right? Michigan-based product, right? Played for Flint City AFC here, Michigan Hawks player. She played at the highest level. That girl was being recruited when she was like 14 years old. It's like 13 or 14. Like that's the age.
Yeah.
So you have to be the 2-in-100 at like 12.
Yep.
My daughter just turned 12 yesterday. So, or 2 days ago, not yesterday. So, that's the perspective. And yes, you're going to get recruited, and you might be a late bloomer. So you might be going at a college showcase, and you're 17 years old, on whatever, and you're seeing that the colleges are starting to see you at that point. And it's great. So you might not be maybe go as highly regarded as maybe some of the players I just mentioned. You still have a chance. That can happen. But it's 2-in-100. So all my point with all of this, to keep saying this 2-in-100, 3 million kids play a year, 850,000 play high school soccer, right? 80,000 play collegiate soccer there on the men's or women's side, right? The chances are low. So yes, by all means, parents, put your kids in a position where they can have the highest chances of going where they want to go. And whether that be playing at a collegiate level, a high school level, it doesn't matter. Give your kid, if you believe that they deserve an opportunity, go give them those chances by all means. But also understand that there's a very large chance that you are just throwing your money away. Large chance.
And understand it. And the other side is understand it is if it doesn't end up working out that way, make sure you come with an understanding that it might not. The hardest thing is getting into this, and again, I'm not a parent. I don't have a kid, and you're going to do everything that you can in order to put your kid in the good position. And I agree with that. My dad took me to lessons too, and I'm sure he probably dug into his pocket in order to give me an opportunity to at least feel good about myself when I went out, and played. And all respect in the world to him, but the perspective side of this can change everything. And it's not just the aspect of, kids going off to play college. You talked about referee abuse. We talked about other things that happen around the sport. And it's because people are so emotionally charged up about this journey and trying to get their kids to the next level. But if you really actually take a second to pause and realize like only 2 out of 100, and again, that number will go down, you start to think about, okay, well, what else makes this journey worthwhile? If my kid's not going to go start at Ohio State on a full ride scholarship, is it worth it? To create friendships, I think it's worth it. To teach the kids about physical health and learning how to accept coaching and be coachable. That's not just in sports, right? That's in life. Like being coachable is not just applicable to the sport that you play. It's applicable to everything else. Learning how to work together with people. There are traits and things that you learn from playing sports that you really can't get anywhere else, especially as a young kid, because it's going to test you physically and it's going to test you mentally, unlike anything else. And so you have to find what is the benefit and the value in doing this outside of getting my kid, again, that full ride scholarship to go play college. There has to be something else bigger than that. Why you're doing it. Because if the only reason why you're dumping money into it is my kid's going to go, be the next whoever, you might be sorely disappointed. You may be sorely disappointed. And I'm guessing some of them are. But you have to find the other reasons why it matters, because that's going to help you take the pressure off the shoulders of the kid too. Because I don't think I'm alone in saying this, JT. I think young kids today have more pressure on their shoulders now than ever. In the history of ever. And it's to perform, and it's to get better, and it's to get to that next level. So to parents, to America, find what makes it worth it outside of that main goal, so that even if it doesn't end up working out perfectly, you can still look back and say, "It's a good choice. I made a good choice to do that."
Yeah, 100% agree with you. I want to put this in perspective. My family and I, we love Disney World. We love it. If I could go every year, I would. It costs a lot of money. It does. The memories, right? You don't forget that stuff, and you're never gonna forget the memories of
The other thing, yeah.
of soccer. You're not gonna forget the memories of soccer, right? You're gonna have those.
Yeah.
I have these memories from a lifetime of club soccer. A Disney vacation for a family of 4, including airfare, can typically cost anywhere between $6,000 and $12,000. Okay, so right kind of in the middle of where you might spend on club soccer at the lower level, the higher end of that, all the way up to the higher level of ECNL, right? So, because they say I googled it, they say the average ECNL player pays $8,000 a year. I still think that that's low. I think that I don't know if that includes all the traveling. I feel like it doesn't, but $8,000 a player. So you're looking at $6,000 to $12,000. I'm saying that you could spend $6,000 and go to Disney World. I could think of a lot of places to spend $6,000. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do it on club soccer. I think it's really important to keep saying that because, club soccer still needs players. But understanding what you're doing it for is the most important part.
Yeah.
All right. Understanding that what you're doing it for. If the goal is to get your child to go play college soccer, by all means, spend as much money as your heart desires to get to that goal. Also understanding that chances are that there's going to be burnout along the way and that your child might not want to do it anymore because of all the pressures associated with trying to get recruited and go to that next level, right? So there might be burnout involved in this. So if you understand going into it, if you're just saying, hey, my daughter can play club soccer if she wanted to, I wouldn't put that on my kids. They could do it as long as they understood the goal. If your goal is to go out there, learn, be part of a team, grow, evolve, and if part of that is like, hey, we want to go to college, we will talk about what that looks like. But it's to go have fun and be fun. Well, are they playing ECNL for fun? Because if you're playing ECNL for fun, I'm sorry, that just doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry, it makes sense to me. Playing it for fun? I'm sorry, I'm investing $8,000 a year minimum to go have fun? No. You're going there for the goal of going to college. Like that's ECNL.
So they're not recruited to go play in that league?
The U17 green team to go have fun on. We'll have great fun there. It's $1,500 a year. Now fun is a byproduct of being on the ECNL, but it is not the goal. And that is a very important distinction when you start talking about all this. Period. So we'll continue this conversation because we're ending the show, but I think it's important to understand that club soccer, there could be a fun component to that. But if I'm talking with the Nationals here in Michigan and I'm talking with Grantham Chatterjee, of course he wants his players to have fun. But if they're playing on their girls' academy side, the ECNL, well, they're winning. And they're gearing up towards getting these kids to college because they send on average about 150 kids a year to college, more so than the average. Right? So going into that your chances are already greater because you're playing for a club that specializes in trying to get kids to college, right? That's a great step up. So you're going to go play there, right? David Robinson does a great job as the director of coaching for the Girls Academy. Great job. So going there that you've already kind of leveled up a little bit. But if you want to have fun, that's a byproduct of all the work you put in, not the other way around. And fun is something we can talk about another day, another show. But that'll wrap up today's show. We have Later Gators from Jimmy Co. I did go over a few moments here. I apologize, people. I got into a little bit of a moment there. But anyways, the one takeaway is this. By all means, invest money in your children. But understand in the early going what you're investing in. Because if you don't, you're going to waste a bunch of money. And know going into it that if you're trying to get your child to college, there's a pathway, and make sure you educate yourself on that pathway. And that's all I'll say about that. But that'll wrap up episode number 31 here on this beautiful, beautiful Wednesday morning. And Nathan, we're going to head out of here.
And we'll see you tomorrow.
And we'll see you tomorrow.
Bright and early.
That'll do it for Inside the Game here, number 31 on the National Soccer Network. Have a great day. We'll see you back here tomorrow, same time, same place. This has been a presentation of the National Soccer Network.